Great to see you here. My name is Nathan. I serve as the lead pastor here, and it's my privilege to welcome you. For those of you who are in the room with us live, and of course for those of you who are watching our live stream today, we're so glad to have you. Just a quick reminder, I know with masks, the Public Health Unit is asking that everyone continues to wear the mask through the service, so thank you for doing that. Today we have, I hope, a really encouraging service for you today. I was thinking about this morning. How many of you ever have cravings? Yeah, get a few hands. If you're online, go ahead and put what you're craving right now. Just throw it in the comments. I don't know, this week I was craving dill pickle chips. But, you know, everyone's got their thing. Maybe it's something sweet, maybe it's something salty, maybe you're craving some exercise or friends. I think we're all maybe craving friends and hanging out in people's homes and stuff like that right now. But today we're going to be talking about, as part of our service, something that I really believe that every single one of us craves and needs, and that's encouragement. And it's not something you probably think about, like, oh, I need encouragement today. But it's so powerful when you receive it. When someone walks up to you and says, hey, I just see what you're doing, and it's amazing. Or, hey, I just really value your friendship. Or, hey, you're really great at that. There's just something inside of us that's like, oh, that's so amazing. And so we have Kirk Goodman is going to be sharing a message all about encouragement, how we can receive it, how we can give it today. And it's going to be super powerful. So what I wanted to do today is I'm going to open up our time in prayer, and then we're going to turn it over to our band, and then we're going to hear from Kirk today. So our hope is that through what we're doing here in this service, through the message, through the worship, through the interactions that happen outside afterwards, that God would be glorified and that we would take one step closer to Him. So if you'd join me, we're going to open in prayer. Father, thank you for this incredible morning. And even though we're gathering with limitations, we're gathering together to worship with our hearts, to consider who you are and what you've done. And God, today as we lift you up, as we hear a word of encouragement, may we be inspired to love well. May we be inspired to turn our hearts and lives towards you again today. In Jesus' name, we commit everything to you. Amen. Thanks, guys. If you want to stand with us, the band's going to lead us in a few songs.
heaven come down. Just to know that you are near is enough. God of heaven come down, heaven come down. Oh, sing the song of hope, sing along. God of heaven come down, heaven come down. Just to know that you are near is enough. God of heaven come down, heaven come down. Oh, sing the song of hope, sing along. God of heaven come down, heaven come down. Just to know that you are near is enough. God of heaven come down, heaven come down.
That hope we're talking about is a hope through Jesus Christ, and that's what we're singing about this morning. So wherever you may be, spiritually or physically, for those watching online, that is our prayer today, that you just find that peace and that hope.
People come together, strangers, neighbors, blood is one. Children of generations, of every nation, the kingdom come. So don't let your heart be troubled. Hold your head up high, don't fear no evil. Fix your eyes on this one truth. God is madly in love with you. So take courage, hold on, be strong. Remember where our help comes from.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thanks for singing and worshiping with us. You go ahead and take a seat. Before we have Kirk come and share, I just wanted to let you know about a few things. If you're a regular part of this church, thank you for those of you who support this ministry financially. In spite of the pandemic, we still have a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and maybe in the next few weeks we'll post a little video to let you know some of the projects our staff's working on and some of the things that we have coming down the line. But thank you for your generous support of this ministry. If you're interested in figuring out how to give, you can go to our website. You can give through Tithely. You can eTransfer us money. There's a box at the back if you care to leave a donation. That would be fantastic. I do want to give you a little update. We began, almost 2 years ago, we began something called our Stretch Initiative. And our goal was essentially to raise our level of generosity in our church, to stretch our faith and raise our generosity so that we could set aside funds so that we could have an opportunity fund for a future home, a building. And so we set this audacious goal, really, of raising $600,000 of cash capital for a future home over a 2-year span on top of everything else that we were doing. And so I just wanted to let you know that we're about $30,000 to $35,000 away from that target, and we're hoping to finish that by the end of this year. So in spite of the pandemic, yeah, thank you. You know, had COVID-19 not happened, I'm very confident we'd be celebrating the finish line right now, but we've had a little bit of a setback. But honestly, the generosity of our people has continued to amaze me, and things are going really well. So I want you to know that. I want to encourage you to keep giving. We're almost there, so thank you for that. Also, we're looking at Kawartha Food Share is one of our local partners that we partner with. And for those who don't know, Kawartha Food Share is an organization that collects food and resources, feeding banks, all the different sort of food insecurity issues within the city. They help resource it, and they're low on food. And so we have been in touch with them. They are looking to do like a porch pickup in the next few weeks, so there's some information up on the screen for you. We'll let you know more, but if you are interested in being part of it, if you would email Rhea at Pathway Life, that would be fantastic. They need drivers to go around town and pick up the bags of food, but then there's also going to be opportunities for people to put bags of food out on their porch for pickup on that day. So we really want to help support them as they fill their shelves before the Christmas season. So wanted to let you know about that. And so with that, we're going to hear a message now from Kirk Goodman, and I'm really looking forward to it. Kirk's one of those guys that always, calls me out of the blue. I'll be working, I'll be doing whatever, and he'll just call to encourage me. And so I love him very much, and I'm going to invite him to come. We got a little video transition here just to give us time to change the stage around. So with that, we'll roll the video, and welcome Kirk.
Good morning. Thank you so much, praise team, Jay and Brock and Eric and Jake for leading us so well. What a privilege it is to be here this morning. Although I've got a confession to make. This probably needs to be said because it's brought about some confusion for me. I'm thinking to myself, I get the fact that Pastor Nate needs to have a break, but I'm wondering whether perhaps he's getting to the bottom of the barrel. Just stay with me. Carlo did an amazing job last week, didn't he? But I absolutely, Carlo, amazing job. But I'm thinking, last week was an axe thrower. This week is a guy who cleans and cares for septic systems. Where are we going? I mean, the whole septic system cleaning and care is... You got a bad... Give that a try. Okay. Oh, that's much better. The whole septic system thing, cleaning, in case you're wondering, is actually a very righteous and a very holy job. it starts right back here in Deuteronomy. God gives us instructions with regards to our whole septage thing. It says, designate a place outside of the camp where you can go to relieve yourself. As part of your equipment, have something to dig with. And when you relieve yourself, dig a hole and cover up your excrement. For the Lord your God moves about your camp to protect you and to deliver your enemies. So that's why I do what I do. I think it's rooted and it's grounded in God's beautiful, wonderful plan. This has been brought to you by pumpmytank.ca. I want to begin on a personal note this morning. So many of you here in this auditorium and at home have been encouraging and supporting and lifting Linda and I up in prayer in these days with encouragements and cards and words of keep going. We got a text yesterday from somebody. You know, I'm cleaning my stove. I'm thinking about you guys, praying for you, and what a difference the words of encouragement and those sorts of things mean. I want to give you a little bit of an update, and also thank you so much for your continued support. Linda is on a daily dose, a tablet of chemotherapy, which she takes right at home, and she does that for 2 weeks, and then she's off for 2 weeks. And so that 1 month period is a cycle, and as an example, on Tuesday of this week coming up, she will begin another cycle. In the midst of those 4 weeks, in the course of a month, she has CAT scans and blood tests and appointments with all kinds of doctors and stuff. But she's here this morning, and yeah, and doing well. And so again, I want to thank you so much for your prayers and for the notes and the thoughts. And it means the world. It makes a huge difference. The power of encouragement. It's what I'd like us to consider for a few minutes this morning. The power of encouragement. I got into my car 2 weeks ago and pressed the button. We don't put a key in, we press a button, it's got the fob there. And all I heard was tick, tick, tick. Got that pit, that feeling in the pit of my stomach. Here we go. You know, a bad day now is going to be worse than I thought. Had an appointment to get to, and this was not a good time for something. Well, you've probably been there. What do you do? And so I start going through the list. Do I call CAA? They'll probably be an hour. I know. I'll take Linda's car, and she can deal with it. Quickly, I moved on to the next option. And right in around this time of turmoil, my neighbor pulls out of his driveway, and because I had my hood up, he drives right up, came right alongside of my car, gets out and, need a boost? You've got no idea. Do I need a boost? And I got to get going. I'm afraid I'm going to be late. Hooked up the booster cables, hit the button. I wasn't even late for my appointment. And as I thought about that scenario, getting a boost, I thought about the privilege that I had to be here this morning and to chat a little bit about encouragement. And that story, getting a boost, is what I kind of hope's going to happen here today. Do you need a boost? Do you need a word of encouragement, perhaps? Are you feeling a little bit discouraged? I trust that as we spend some time together this morning, chatting a little bit about the power of encouragement and why encouragement is so important, that you would get the boost that you need. Let me ask this question. Why is encouragement so important? I think, first of all, we're starved for it. I am. We're starved for it. I mean, I'm not looking for compliments, but I sat down and got my hair cut this week, and as soon as I sat down in the chair with my hairdresser, we got to chatting, and bless her heart, she was telling me about what things look like at her church, and the challenges with regards to COVID and all this sort of stuff. And so when I had a chance to get a word in edgewise, I shared with her about what's going on here at Pathway, and that I was going to have the opportunity to chat on encouragement. Exact words out of her mouth. I kid you not. She said, "Oh, we're starved for encouragement, aren't we?" It's got to be true. I think you and I are starved for encouragement. Encouragement seems to be in short supply. As I go about my business, my righteous, holy business, and encounter people, meet people, spend time, people are discouraged. People are frustrated. I got to believe that not only do we need encouragement, but I really think that there's an appetite that you and I have to be encouraged. A gentleman by the name of George Adams said, "Encouragement is oxygen of the soul. It's what we need to survive and thrive in our daily lives." Why is encouragement so important? Not only are we starved for it, but I've got to believe that it's so easy, it is for me anyway, it's so easy to become discouraged. And this really is where at this point where I want to read from Hebrews chapter 3, direct us to our passage this morning. Hebrews chapter 3 says this: "See to it, friends, that none of you has a sinful and unbelieving heart that turns away from the living God, but encourage one another daily, as long as it's called today, so that none of you may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness." Fact of the matter is, it sounds almost like a command, doesn't it? A battle cry to be encouraging one another. In fact, when we take a look at these verses, another way to read these words is encourage one another daily, as long as it's called today, or encourage one another daily as long as we have an opportunity to do so. It's really not a suggestion. It's something that should be part of our daily breathing, to be able to speak words of encouragement into one another. There's a warning and a caution here as well, so that none of us may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness. That's a heavy statement, isn't it? For our purposes, I want to unpack that for just a bit and say this: that if we're being called to encourage one another daily, or as long as the opportunity allows for us, so that we won't grow, so that our hearts won't grow hardened by sin's deceitfulness, a question I want to ask is, what does that look like? What does it look like to be discouraged? What does discouragement look like? What does it look like when this sin's deceitfulness gets a hold of us? Sin's deceitfulness, to some degree, looks like pride, selfishness, jealousy, judgment, self-righteousness. And we're told right in this passage that those sorts of things can occur in our lives or flows out of a hard heart. What does a hard heart look like? It can look like brokenness, anger, not open, closed, discouraged, and perhaps even blinded. This deception, do you know what sin's deception looks like in my life? It looks like this. It's when I get to the point and I get to the place in my life where I hear these phrases and I start to believe them. Maybe they come from Satan. Maybe they come from my own head. Maybe they can't come from voices that I've heard over the years, and you know how we don't forget, and those things sometimes, unfortunately, can stick. These statements: you can't, you won't, you don't measure up, you'll never. Somebody has said that you're the most influential person in your life because nobody talks to you more than you do. I don't know where that stuff comes from, but I hear it. And what a battle it is to distinguish that kind of deceptiveness and put a wall up. Push it back. What I'm finding is that a word of encouragement has a way of pushing those things away. They're the positive voices. They're the voices that I need in my life to give oxygen to my life, to thrive and to survive. Elizabeth Harrison said, "Those who are lifting the world upward and outward are those who encourage more than they criticize." Why is encouragement so important? We're starved for it. It's so easy to become discouraged. And a third thought that I want to share with you this morning is this: it has a way of speaking or infusing power and strength into others. It has a way of speaking into our lives the message that you can do it. The possibilities are real. Many of you know that in a former life, Linda and I had the privilege to spend a number of years in pastoral ministry. And I was told by a wise man early as a young pastor to get an encouragement file. And every time you get an encouragement, put it in there. And when you feel discouraged, you reach for this file. And you start pulling out those notes. Now, when I was told that, I figured I'd be spending more time putting stuff in here than I would probably sitting down and going through it and reading it. The wise old man knew what he was talking about. I spent a lot of time. Pastor Nate and I were talking this week about this message, and he was sharing with me that in some of the research that he has done, he said I'm pretty sure he said it takes 4 words of encouragement to stamp out 1 word of discouragement. I believe it. I could not believe how one word of discouragement. And oftentimes it was after having a great week and planning and preparing, and you walk into the church, for instance, on Sunday morning, and somebody said something of a discouraging word. And it was almost like a needle going into my lung. And why is that? How is that one discouraging word can stamp out 4 or 400 encouraging words that we've received? So I've cherished this. In fact, one of the things that I want to sort of go on record and say that's so powerful about encouragement, why encouragement is so important, is because it lasts. I received this 27 years ago from a friend. It sits on my desk, these words. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, who strives valiantly, who knows the great enthusiasts, the great devotions, and spends himself in a worthy cause, who, at the best, knows the triumph of high achievement, and who, at its worst, if he fails, at least fails while doing greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory or defeat. That's something that I received as a word of encouragement. You've got to know something. I have read that over and over and over again. It's stuck. It's lasted. I would not be here today without a tidal wave of encouragement that I have been so blessed and humbled to receive. Why is encouragement so powerful? I love quotes and definitions, and here's one from Oxford Dictionary. Encouragement gives support, confidence, or hope to somebody. The act of encouraging someone to do something. And before I move on, I really do want to state the obvious. That when you encourage somebody, what they do with that is really their business. You're not responsible for what happens with that encouragement, what a person does with that. But I do want to state this. There's been times in my life when I've been encouraged by others, and I've chosen to do nothing with it. And what that is, alongside with the warning that we received in Hebrews chapter 3, verse 13. When I fail to act upon an encouragement from somebody, I've wasted it. One of the things that I'd love us to walk away from here this morning with is a commitment not to waste words of encouragement. By definition, encouragement is to move us towards action. When you encourage others, you in the process are encouraged because you're making a commitment and a difference in that person's life. Zig Ziglar said that. He said, encouragement really does make a difference. It really does. I noticed that in my preparation for this morning, going through the book of Hebrews, and now I'm kind of fascinated with what I've written in the margins. I would share with you that to a large degree, I live now in the margins when it comes to the scripture. I wrote this a long time ago. What we do matters. Wrote that right beside this passage on encouragement. What we do matters. What we do when it comes to encouraging others really does make a difference. And so encouragement, really, unpacking it now and trying to bring some definition and move us towards some application. Somebody has said this, to see the potential in someone and be willing to point it out. To see the potential in someone and be willing to point it out. Need to deconstruct that phrase for a sec, because this phrase also represents part of the challenge and the difficulty and why sometimes we struggle with encouraging others. Sometimes we see the potential, but we fail to be willing to point it out to somebody. There's other times that we quite frankly don't see the potential in someone, and because we're not really in a good place to point it out, that's where the cliches sometimes often kick in. But encouragement from the perspective and from the direction of how it is that God uses. I believe this with all my heart, that when we allow ourselves to be open to our great God and Savior, He gives us the ability to see the potential in those around us and the words to say to point that out. Because it's not really about me. It's about Him. And I think that's one of the things that brings encouragement. That's what gives the power behind the words of encouragement. That they're not bright ideas or great ideas that I have, or ideas or concepts that I think, or suggestions that I think somebody should follow. But I think encouragement is something that God uses in your life and my life to continue to move us towards Him. I love this. Encouragement is belief in people before they even get started. When I look back over my life and think of the words of encouragement that came before I even got started, not only would I not be here today if it hadn't have been for those words of encouragement, but I look back over the journey and the path and think the things that I would never have picked up and embraced if it hadn't have been for a word of encouragement. Why is it so important? Because encouragement has a way of infusing, of breathing, of boosting us in these directions. Encouragement is hope. Encouragement is intended to give us courage towards action. It's affirmation. Do you know encouragement is the language of love? Encouragement is permission. It's strength. It's common for me to ask people these two questions. Hey, what are you encouraged with today? And I'm always fascinated at the incredible silence that follows that question. And so to break the silence, I'll say, all right, let's move on to the next one. What are you challenged with today? What are you having a tougher time with? What's maybe I know. What are you finding discouraging in these days? And what I've been fascinated with is the silence after the first question, but all I really have to do is be quiet and listen, because for the next 20 minutes, we're engaged. You may be no different than me on any given day. It's so much easier for me to think of the areas that I'm discouraged than encouraged. If that's true, it's true of you. If it's true of the people that you at 6 feet apart, spend time with, I'd like to put a cap on this, as it were, this morning. While I think we're going to rejig the stage here. Guys, you can come up here and do that. But how do we encourage others with the kind of power and the kind of potency, the kind of long-lastingness that I'm talking about? I have made it a habit to do these 3 things. There's plenty of things to do, but this is a great start. We really do have to look for opportunities. We have to have our eyes open, and we have to see people the way God sees them. If we're ever going to be an encourager, like maybe we'd like to be, we have to realize that people matter to God, and they should matter to us too. We got to be on the lookout. Second thing is, we really have to develop the skill of listening. And as we spend time engaged with others, listening for the things that grip their heart and grip their soul, sometimes that is a tremendous way in to sharing a word of encouragement with others. And then we have to linger. Boy, oh boy, is it ever about spending time with people. And our culture and our world today, unfortunately, doesn't spend a great deal of time lingering, do we? And so it's about being intentional, about looking for opportunity and listening and lingering. How do we do it? Do you know what, folks? It's so simple, but so seldom done. It can be done with a word, face-to-face or over the phone, a text, a card, a note. I can't believe the people that have shared with me. You'll never believe who I got a card from. This was so encouraging. That my hope and my prayer today is that we would be encouraged, and that we would be encouragers. That your heart and your soul would be boosted today. That you would receive something in a supernatural, awesome way from God. And if this is something that you've wanted to do to increase the level of your ability to encourage others, that you would go out and do that. We can be a people that are strong and influential encouragers in the lives of others. Would you pray with me? Lord, each one of us know, to some degree or another, how it feels and what it's like to be encouraged from somebody. That almost life-changing, altering words that motivate us and allow us to move forward and embrace all that you have for us. But Lord, there's also something inside of us that perhaps would want us to be people who come alongside of others and encourage. Help us to focus on that one area that you would want us to strengthen, to be the encouragers that you've called us to be. In Jesus' name, amen. Bet.
I know you always encourage everybody, and I just want to tell this story real quick about you. He's been an encouragement to me and my family for years, and you always seem to call it the worst but perfect times. And one time not too long ago, my washing machine just like exploded and just went all over the place. And he just called right at that moment. So it was just one of those weird, perfect timing things. I was like, what's going on, man? I'm like, well, here's the thing. I'm like, you don't fix dryers and washers, do you? He's like, no. But he's like, I'll tell you what. And he took care of it just because, I don't know if it's because you're a dad, but you're just, that is who you are. And what you do, just by saying these things, it encourages us as a church family, but it encourages just me personally. Like, you're quite a guy. And it shows in your family, and we love you so much. And this is a song that I know this is your favorite song, and kind of know Kirk and Linda's story and their family, but the stuff that they go through and the stuff they've dealt with, and this next song is a song of hope. Is so positive that no matter what happens, it is well with our soul. And so we're going to sing that this morning, and thanks again. Grander earth was quake before, moved by the sound of his voice. Seas that are shaken and stirred can be calmed and broken for my regard. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you. And it is well with me. Far be it from me to not believe, even when my eyes can't see. And this mountain that's in front of me will be thrown into the midst of the sea. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you. It is well. It is well. So let go, my soul, and trust in him. The waves and wind still know his name. So let go, my soul, and trust in him. The waves and wind still know his name. Oh, so let go, my soul, and trust in him. The waves and wind still know his name. The waves and wind still know his name. Why don't you stay with me? We'll sing this together.
It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you. It is well with me.
Thank you. You may be seated. Kirk, I love that encouragement file. I'm a few years younger than you, and I have a similar file, but it's digital. It's in my email. I have an email folder called encouragement. And for the last 10 years, I've put about 6 emails. No, I'm kidding. There's hundreds of emails in there, and many of them have come from you, our church. And I can't tell you how much it means to me. And so I'm always reminded of how powerful those words are when we share them. So, as he was saying, not only do we need encouragement, but we need to be an encouragement. So when you leave today, if God puts somebody on your heart, send a note, send an email, give them a call, let them know that you're thinking about them, send them a little encouragement. Just be amazed at how powerful that is. So just as we close the service, I want to let you know a couple things. We've got a little slide up here. Just once again, a reminder about the Kawarth Food Share, the Peterborough Food Porch Drive. And so again, October 24th is the date that you put food out. There's a list of suggested items. It can be other things as well. But if you're interested in being a driver, if you would email, I know you can't see that at the bottom, it should say Rhea at Pathway Life, R-A-E-H at Pathway Life. So if you're interested on that day to drive around town and pick up packages and bring them to Kawarth Food Share, we'd love to support them by getting as many drivers as we can. So please note that. Next Sunday, we're going to have the opportunity. How many of you know who Tony Jones is? Yeah, a bunch of you know him. If you've been here for more than a year, then you've heard Tony speak. He's a missionary in Haiti, and he's been here in Canada during the COVID pandemic with his 2 boys. He's planning to go back to Haiti as soon as he can get his wife Edna from Haiti to Canada to be with his kids. He's going to go back and continue the work there. They're setting up a radio station. I'm sure he'll give us an update next week. So what I want you to know is next Sunday, Tony's going to be sharing and giving us an update. So I know if you know Tony, you don't want to miss it. It's going to be a great morning together. So I wanted to let you know about that. And so with that, we will close the service. Thank you for being here with us. For those of you who are in person, thanks for those who are joining online. We're so glad to be able to have this hour together. So thank you and have a wonderful week. We'll see you next Sunday.